we heard kind of a muffled explosion. The building sort of shuddered, and then it began to tip. Like I'm tipping my hand toward the camera, the building just began
Yeah.
to tip and tip and tip. Tall buildings are made with expansion joints. They're made to be able to blow around in the wind a little bit. David and I kind of tried to figure out what was going on. We had no clue. The building tipped maybe as much as 20 feet, and then it stopped and it started coming back the other way. We had just said goodbye to each other because we thought we were going to take a 78th floor plunge to the street. Well, that didn't happen. I met Roselle coming out from under my desk. I took her leash. I told her to heel, which meant to come around behind me onto my left side and sit, which she did. And about the time Roselle sat, the building literally dropped about 6 feet.
Wow.
That's because the expansion joints went back to their normal configuration. Everything was working as it was supposed to, although most people didn't know that. So after the building stopped moving, David turned and looked out the window, and he started shouting, "Oh my God, Mike, there's fire and smoke above us. The millions of pieces of burning paper falling outside our window." And I could hear debris brushing by our window, and now I knew what it was. It was millions of pieces of burning paper. David was describing it. He said, "We got to get out of here right now." And I said, "Slow down, David." "No, we got to get out of here right now. We can't stay here." And I said, "Slow down, David." He said, "No, the building's on fire. We can't stay here." I said, "Slow down, David." And finally, he used what I call the big line. "You don't understand. You can't see it." Well, the problem wasn't what I wasn't seeing. It was what David wasn't seeing. That is to say that what David wasn't seeing was that sitting next to me was a dog wagging her tail, yawning and going essentially, "Who woke me up? I was sleeping really well here," and wasn't exhibiting any kind of fear. I had called my wife meanwhile and let her know that something had happened. Of course, everybody says, "Well, you didn't know because you couldn't see it," which is another stupid thing for people to say, to be real blunt about it. Because the reality is the airplane struck on between the area between floors 93 and 99, so I just average it and say 96, on the north side of the building. I was on the south side of the building on the 78th floor. The last time I checked, no one could see through 18 floors of concrete, steel, and rebar. Nobody knew what was going on.